Hi guys, and welcome to another Watch Geek video and another unboxing and first impressions. Today we're unboxing another Baltany, and it's their retro diver that's inspired by vintage Rolex watches. Now the reason I decided to get this one and ask them to send me this one was because I loved the vintage Explorer. They offered so much because it has that gilt dial and that curved sapphire, and everything just kind of popped, and I realized that their take on a vintage Submariner follows the same formula, so I just wanted to see it in person. So let's open the box. It is the newer Baltany box, slightly more luxurious. Inside you get this cardboard thingy where you have the papers of the watch, you have a strap sizing tool, so just like they used to have, but this time it's slightly better, and you get this leather pouch that contains the watch itself. So let's move away the boxes and check out the watch itself. Now, like I said, this is just the unboxing and first impressions, so do stay tuned for the full review with macro shots and everything once I spend some time with the watch. And here is the watch itself. It's actually quite gorgeous. Now let's take a look at it up close, and we're gonna compare it to my new Submariner. So this, like I said, takes a cue from vintage Submariners. That's why you don't have any surrounds around the lume plots. They're just applied lume without any silver ring around them. But the hands are highly polished, and I'm glad they kind of went down a more original route. The hour hand is the classic Mercedes hand, but the minute hand is something else. You get a classical seconds hand. The dial is again gilt colored, minimum text, Baltany at 12, the water resistance and automatic at 6 o'clock. This is a true no-date watch with a no-date movement. It's Seiko NH35, so it does come with hacking and hand winding, and when you pull it to the first click, it's gonna stop the movement. So you don't have the ghost click like those brands that used NH35 or 36 on a no-date watch. The crown is quite big, the crown guards are quite big, and the watch does come with 200 meters of water resistance. What I like especially about it is the fact that it's 39 millimeters in size. So it's quite a lot smaller than the newer Rolex watches, so it has that vintage look and vintage feel on wrist. However, because it comes with a modern construction, you do get solid links with solid end links and a milled out clasp, just like on their Explorer homage. But sadly, it doesn't come with on-the-fly adjustment. It comes with micro adjustment holes, which is the only bad thing about the watch. But considering its price, and this is priced under $200, so it's $195 if you get it on this bracelet. If you go for a leather strap, it's $149, so it's an under $150 watch, which is quite impressive. The bezel is aluminium in that vintage spirit, and it does come with a sapphire crystal, but just like on their Explorer, it mimics the vintage acrylic crystals. And it really does play with the light and makes the dial really stand out. The one thing that I noticed, although it does capture the spirit of those vintage Submariners with these long sharp lugs and this pretty wide but flat bezel, it is quite thick. It's 13.8 millimeters with this crystal, and the body of the watch is actually quite thick, so it's more like, I don't know, a vintage a vintage sea dweller than a vintage Submariner. It has quite a thick sides, and then the caseback is very thin. I wish they went for a thinner case and slightly bulgier caseback. That would make probably better balance on wrist, but even like this, I'm sure it wears beautifully. And as you can see, it has a very sharp, or should I say, a very flat bezel, just like the vintage Submariners. Now, since we're speaking about the bezel, let's try it. I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear it. It has 120 clicks and they're very precise. However, the watch is slightly too loose for my taste. I don't know, it seems like something that you will be able to move accidentally. Even though, like I said, the clicks are very precise, there's almost no backplate, so the quality is good. Maybe it's down to this example, I don't know. But we'll check that out by the review. I'll probably send them an email. Overall, I really do like the watch. It does have that same pop that the Explorer had. I mean, that their version of Explorer had. So it is really cool. Now we'll put it on my wrist and compare it next to my Submariner. We're gonna do a lume shot again next to a Submariner. And that's probably gonna be it for today and for this unboxing and first impressions. Like I said, do stay tuned for the full review. And one thing that I forgot to mention, even if you go for the bracelet version, for just $8 more, you can order the leather strap as well, making it a $203 watch, which is pretty ridiculous considering what you get for $200 these days. Okay, so let's take off my Submariner and put this on my wrist. Let's compare the size. So this is the latest and greatest 41mm Submariner, which is actually 40.5, and this is the 39mm Baltany. And as you can see in size, this is bulkier, bigger, but the difference is not really that much. The difference is in thickness, and this is where Submariner is king. It's like a dive watch that's very thin, and I really do like the way it wears, whereas this one is much thicker, as you can see. Okay, so now let's put this one on the wrist to see how it looks. Let me just zoom out a bit. I did size the bracelet, and it's obviously slightly too tight with the screws. That's why the links get like caught and stay. So as you can see on my 6.5-inch wrist, this 39mm Baltany, well, to be honest, actually wears probably better than the Submariner, especially because of one thing, the fact they went with female end links. So even though they do have solid end links, they went for a female end link, so the lug-to-lug of the watch is the actual total lug-to-lug, whereas on the Submariner, even though the lug-to-lug of the watch is pretty short, you get these protruding T-shaped end links, which may make it a bit too big for someone with really small wrists. On Baltany, you don't have that problem. And like I said in their review of the Explorer, on the Explorer, I have no problem with it because it's very short lug-to-lug. It's like 43 or 44 millimeters, but this is longer at 47. So having female end links is actually something I prefer over the male end links. Let me just put like the Submariner back on the wrist so you can see how it wears, and then we're gonna do a lume shot, and that's gonna be it. Okay, so this is the Submariner again on my 6.5-inch wrist. It's not too big, it's actually quite good, but I also wish it had like female end links like this one, because sometimes they protrude at certain like positions of my wrist. Okay, so that's it. So let's charge both watches, and we're gonna be right back to do the lume shot. Okay, with both watches charged, let me just zoom in and let the camera focus. We're gonna turn off the light. And there we go. As you can see, the lume is green. The hands are very, very bright, but the markers are visibly weaker than the hands. And as you can see, this is the Submariner for reference, glows blue, and it's quite potent. This is probably the best lume Rolex ever had. Now the Baltany, when it comes to the hands, it's on the level of the Submariner, maybe even better. But using that vintage faux patina color, I expected it to be actually weaker, but the only place where it is weaker are the markers. And it is noticeable on camera and as well as in person. But it's not a big deal breaker, to be honest. So if you like the watch, if you like this vintage design, you're gonna be fine. Anyways, that's it when it comes to this unboxing and first impressions. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.